I'm sad I'm not. Wait, I'm stuck up from the story.
Okay, thank you for coming, and I'm so glad that my colleagues, Senators Wyden and Warren, ranking member and senior member of the Finance Committee, or middle, I guess, right? You're senior, you're in the middle of the seats there. But the Finance Committee, I tried to get on it in the House for years, with no luck.
And then you had to sit next to me.
Yeah, that's right. You got on ahead of me. But we're all happy. All right. And so as you know, in the last 3 weeks, the first week we focused on Medicaid rather. Second week on rising costs for families and lost jobs in America. And this third week we're talking about taxes. But they're all related because we all know what they're doing. They're giving tax cuts to the billionaires and hurting, whether it's on Medicaid, on SNAP, on so many other issues, including taxes themselves, hurting the average person, the American family, as you can see. Red, 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 till you get to be rich. So, and for weeks, Senate Republicans promised they'd take their dangerous, unpopular House bill and fix its worst provisions. Senators went home and told their constituents, oh, don't worry, this'll change, that'll change. They said they were listening to their constituents. They lied. They lied. Many of them claimed they would draw red lines on cuts to Medicaid or clean energy or food assistance. But now we know the truth. But now that we've seen the Senate Republicans' big, beautiful betrayal, we know what's in it. They didn't fix the House or improve the House bill. They made it far, far worse. The Senate Republican bill is, simply put, bigger cuts, bigger betrayal. Here are 5 ways, there are many, but I thought I'd point out 5, and please indulge me a minute, that the Senate bill is even worse, more extreme, more destructive, more cruel than the House version. 1, the Medicaid cuts are deeper, with more pain, more people losing their health care. Now it's over $1 trillion. The House bill originally was $880 billion at its peak. 16 million Americans, maybe more, will lose health care. Tens of millions more will have their insurance premiums, health insurance premiums, go way up. So it's going to hurt a large chunk of America, just about all of working class America, and including middle class America. The Republicans in the Senate have loved to talk about protecting Medicaid. A whole bunch of them called it a red line. But with this bill, it's not a red line, it's a dare. Their plan guts health care even more than the House bill. Democrats are happy to work with Republicans to rid Medicaid of any waste, fraud, or abuse. But this isn't that. This is repeal and replace by another name. The Senate bill squeezes hospitals even harder than the House bill. It crushes health centers and decimates rural hospitals. The healthcare sector alone would lose close to 1 million jobs. When you add that to the clean energy job loss, you're pointing at a recession. Second, the clean energy bill, it kills jobs and raises costs. Senate Republicans spent weeks promising everybody, including their governors, including the companies and unions and others who are working in all of this new clean energy manufacturing, that they would change the House bill. Instead, the Senate clean energy proposal is a head fake. They try to make it seem like they're making it better, but they don't, particularly in the core areas of wind and solar. The Senate clean energy bill cuts are every bit as destructive as the House proposal. It phases out credits for wind and solar within 6 months. These phase-outs are a death sentence for clean energy. They're going to send electric bills soaring, kill good-paying jobs. An estimated 850,000 people in the clean energy industry will lose their jobs. And despite all the rhetoric from Trump and the Republicans, we're going to surrender U.S. energy independence to China. China will dominate, particularly in the fastest, cheapest way to bring new electrons onto the grid. which is solar, China's going to dominate and have American consumers by the neck. The cuts will choke America's energy output right as we need to expand our capacity. AI is going to demand huge amounts of electricity. It's going to cost the consumer more as prices go up. Why the hell would you cut off the quickest, cheapest way to bring in new power? And some of those who say on the Republican, well, we're for all of the above. We don't like the Democrats being against fossil fuels. Well, fossil fuels get lots of tax breaks. They always have. Now they're eliminating them just for clean energy. 3, gun violence. Now, can you believe this? That horrible House provision on gun silencers, saying you no longer had to go through a background check to use a gun silencer, and the only people who use silencers are bad people. Cops don't like silencers. Average citizens don't like silencers. Only somebody who's going to shoot and doesn't want it to be known they're shooting. But they made it worse. I'm the author of the Brady Law. I'm the author of the assault weapons ban. I know the history. And one of the bottom lines for everybody in the past, even Republicans, is that shotguns and rifles should have background checks. Guess what? They took them away in the Senate bill. Years of history and compromise. Years of saying everyone knew that these guns were too dangerous, they took it off. Now, if they get their way, silencers, as in the House bill, and shotguns and rifles added in the Senate bill will not lead a background check. Anyone, any criminal can get them. Now, we are contesting this and other provisions in the bird bath. We're hopeful we can win. We'll see what happens. But we are contesting it in every way we can, because Senate Republicans are choosing the gun lobby over the lives of our kids. I don't know what happened. I can surmise. A bunch of the right-wingers said, we didn't get all the cuts we wanted. So they said, we'll give you this. Who knows? 4th, attacking our courts. Speaking of fighting against a radical plan by the Senate Republicans, look at what they're doing to the courts. Now, you might be confused. You say, this is a tax bill. Why are Republicans trying to push something on the courts? We'll do the math. Trump is losing in court over 95% of the time. Some of us have been plaintiffs in suits. Other times we worked with other groups and we were amici, or just helped them. We're winning in the courts. And you know, all too frequently, guess who's siding with us? Judges Trump appointed in his first term. The House bill would have prevented courts from enforcing injunctions if plaintiffs didn't put up massive security bonds. The Senate, not to be outdone, makes it worse, preventing courts from even issuing injunctions against the federal government in the first place if plaintiffs don't put up a massive, unaffordable to so many security bond. So they're trying to make the justice system pay to play for our sacred, respected, until now, relatively following the law, not always, unfortunately, particularly with this new Supreme Court, but they're changing it. If you don't have money, you don't get justice. That's never been the American way. Senate Republicans are doing Trump's bidding, and they're trying to protect him by stopping courts from issuing injunctions. This is our democracy. We're going after it. We're not going down without a fight. This and many other provisions, the gun provision and many others, we are challenging with the parliamentarian because we don't think it meets the actual criteria for that. And finally, on taxes, where my two colleagues, members of the Finance Committee, will elaborate. But given all these devastating cuts, you'd have to assume the Republicans would say, okay, we'll lower the national debt. Nope, quite the opposite. CBO yesterday said that the House-passed bill would increase the debt by $3.4 trillion, surging interest rates on every American. That means when you buy a home, you buy a car, you use a credit card, you're going to pay more because of the tax cuts for billionaires. Now, it's not even considering the Senate bill. That was 3.4. It's even more generous than the House and locks these these tax breaks, and here they are. Look at the very top 10% get a nice increase in their income. Look at the others. Poorest people lose $2,500. That's a lot of money for anybody, but if you're poor, it's devastating. Under the so-called middle-class provisions, the wealthiest 0.1% get an average tax cut of $400,000. What does it mean to your family? Fewer benefits, higher costs. We're going to do everything we can with the court of public opinion and in the vote-a-rama process to show the hypocrisy of what the Republicans are doing, and to elaborate on that hypocrisy, we have Ron Wyden.
Thank you, Leader Schumer, and good to be with you and Senator Warren. And let me start it this way. It is hard to grasp how anybody could look at the horrible House bill, the one they passed a few weeks ago, and think to themselves, that's not enough class warfare. That's apparently what Senate Republicans think. It is hard to believe that anybody could spend almost $3 trillion on a bill full of tax cuts and somehow increase the poverty rate in America. Senate Republicans found a way to do that too. It is hard to imagine how 53 senators could ignore all the warnings about their agenda kicking off a catastrophic debt spiral and higher interest rates, which will devastate the middle class. They tuned those warnings out too. The more the American people learn about this bill, the worse they are going to feel about it. That's because there's nothing but bad news in it for them, unless they're a corporate executive or somebody who's already fabulously well off. And I get the sense that people who spend their time walking around these Senate corridors have maybe lost sight of the big picture. This is not a normal debate we're having, where the two sides have different approaches, and you talk about the challenges of dealing with a big topic. This goes way beyond 2017, when you had merely handouts to the people at the top, overshadowing the crumbs that were designed to be there for working people. This will be the most regressive law in modern times by far. This is trillions in handouts for corporations and the rich, paid for by kicking 16 million Americans off their health care, taking food out of the mouths of millions of hungry kids, and sabotaging clean energy in America. The legislation that came from the Finance Committee that we all worked on, sabotaged. Republicans don't have any answers for the single working mom who's terrified of losing her Medicaid coverage or being unable to feed their kids. They have no answers for the solar manufacturers who are about to be put out of business in America, or the thousands of workers whose jobs they're about to eliminate. Last week, the Treasury Secretary, Mr. Bessent, came before the Finance Committee for hearing. We asked him about the carnage that I have just described, the damage that this is going to inflict on the American people. We asked him about the new analysis that says that this legislation will cause 51,000 excess deaths per year. What did he do? He just laughed off the Senate Democratic members who asked about this. He refused to engage in a serious way with these questions. The fact is, the Senate bill will drive the vulnerable into misery and drag down the middle class, all for the benefit of those at the very top and the most powerful. By definition, This is class warfare. Caviar over kids, Mar-a-Lago over the middle class, and we are going to be in this fight, the fight to block this, until the last dog howls. I think, Senator Warren?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Leader Schumer. Thank you, Ranking Member Wyden.
Soon to be chair again.
Wait.
Your mouth to God's ears. The Republican bill is a twofer. It cuts access to health care for millions of Americans, for babies, for people with disabilities, for seniors living in nursing homes, and is a giant giveaway to billionaires. Republicans get it both. They are able to be cruel to the people who need just a little help to get their health care, to be able to buy groceries for the end of the month, and they manage to make rich people even richer. This bill is another effort for the Republicans to just hand over our nation to the billionaires. I want to call out three particularly filthy provisions that are just tucked down in this bill that illustrate how give it away to the rich guys and take it away from everyone else. The first one is there's a giant giveaway to the oil industry tucked right into the middle of this bill. There's a minimum corporate alternative tax that says once your profits reach $1 billion, you got to pay at least 15% on the amount over that. That's true now, if this bill goes through, for every corporation in America except the oil industry. They're going to get a special get out of paying your taxes free under the Senate version of the bill. Why? Because they don't want to pay taxes, and they've been out there making contributions to the Republican Party. Second one, Meta. Meta, we all know how Meta's been struggling out there, right? There's a provision tucked in here that says that Meta alone, that one company, can get $15 billion, that's with a B, $15 billion, in order to incentivize them to do research in 2022, 2023, and 2024. Some of you may be doing the math and wondering if they have invented a time machine to go back and add to their research. The answer is no. Instead, evidently what the Republicans have planned is one of those big checks, a single check that under this bill would be written to Meta for $15 billion simply for existing. And the third one, this bill wants to zero out the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And that may be the biggest giveaway of all. Now, we all remember that little agency. That's the one that in about a dozen years managed to uncover more than $20 billion in fraud and cheating and got that money returned directly to consumers. Where did that money come from? It came from giant corporations who want the opportunity to cheat American families again. You take the cop off the beat and say now it will be open season on American families. Squeeze them, cheat them, trick them, track them, however you can, and the Republicans say, have at it. That will be one more boost under this bill. So look, we're here because Democrats believe that no baby should lose access to health care so that Jeff Bezos can buy a third yacht. We're here because we believe that no one with disabilities, who needs a wheelchair, who needs a home health aid, should lose that aid, should lose that chair so that Mark Zuckerberg can buy a third island. And we're here because Democrats believe that no senior should be pushed out of a nursing home so that Elon Musk can take a rocket ship ride to Mars. Budgets are about our values. The Republicans have made clear they are willing to throw millions of Americans under the bus so they can help out a handful of their billionaire friends and those billionaire corporations. Democrats are here to fight back.
Okay, we'll take some questions on this subject first. Yes.
On the issue of taxes, obviously another one of the major changes from the Senate version and that was made to the House version is the deduction of the SALT cap. In the House, it was $40,000. In the Senate, it's now back at $10,000. What do you make of that change, being from New York? And have you talked to any of your Republican colleagues at all? Because on the House side, you have some Republicans from New York, but here.
Well, so far, and this is just from reading in the press, our House Republicans are vehemently opposed to this, not just New York, but a few other states as well. Look, this was passed by the Republicans in 2017. It was a dagger aimed at the heart of blue states, because blue states, states' rights on their own, wanted to put more money to help educate our kids, to help provide health care, to have a better environment. The right wing hated it, and that's why it was aimed at it. So I'm against the whole elimination of the deduction period. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about Democrats' strategy for Vote-A-Rama? It could be as soon as next week, and you'll have a significant opportunity on the floor to amend this.
And we're going to use that opportunity in hopes, maybe difficult, but we're in getting Republicans to vote with us on some things they've all said they've agreed with, and show people who we are. So there are 5 basic areas we're looking at. It'll go beyond that, but one is Medicaid and health care. The second is higher costs for you and fewer jobs for you, focusing a little bit on the energy, but on other issues as well. The third will be the taxes. The fourth will be the corruption, the rampant corruption in this administration. And the fifth will be the deficit. All those deficit hawks on the Republican side will have a chance to reduce the deficit. Yes.
You say that you hope to get some Republican support on amendments, but on issues like, say, rural hospitals, are you actually reaching out to people like Gary Moran and others?
We have a task force that's doing just that, reaching out to the Republican senators. In fact, we're meeting again this evening, this afternoon. And yes, we're reaching out, I have 7 Republican congressmen in my state. I've been in every one of their districts talking about this issue, getting a huge response. Many of these hospital administrators and employees are Republican. In many of the rural hospitals, they are the largest employer in the county, and in most, they're the only supplier of health care. It infuriates the rural counties, and they tend to be Republican. Go ahead, Ron.
Thanks, Chuck. Just wanted to add a point. You know, we lost the big Medicaid fight earlier, really by just 2 votes, actually 1. Josh Hawley voted with us, Senator Collins voted with us. As the leader said, the public is much angrier about Medicaid today than when we had the recorded vote that we almost won a month or so ago. So we are up to this fight every step of the way, and we're going to stay at it till we win.
And the AHA, which didn't like the first proposal but is now infuriated by this Senate proposal, the American Hospital Association. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. This is a processy question, but it matters. You know the Senate calendar and the challenges it has. Can you help us understand how long do you think the bird bath process will take, and how do you see these next few weeks with reconciliation and rescission potentially on the board?
Okay, on how long it takes, we can't really tell you because we don't have all their bills. The biggest bill, far and away, that deals with the issues that Ron, Elizabeth, and I have talked about hasn't even been put down yet. So it's hard to tell. But the bird bath process is going to take a while. And I can't see it finishing up, by the end of this week. Okay? Yes?
I'm hoping you can give a quick reaction to the Supreme Court ruling that just came in from the Tennessee about the law that bans...
this Supreme Court seems to have forgotten that one of their jobs is to protect individual rights and protect individuals from being discriminated against. It's an awful decision.
What can be done for...
Well, on the floor we had a bill that the Republicans wanted to take away these rights, and we got, I believe, every Democrat voting against it, so it failed because it needed 60 votes. So we're going to explore every solution. Okay? Last one.
What, if any, authority does the president have to act in Iran? Do you plan on backing Senator Kane's War Powers Act resolution or Senator Warren's bill that would prevent funds from being dispersed in order to...
Senate Democrats, if necessary, will not hesitate to assert our prerogatives and our ability on this bill.
Will you get behind either of those measures?
As I said, we will not hesitate. Thank you, everybody.
Have you gotten any briefings from the administration on Israel, Iran?
Have we gotten any briefings? Yes, we've gotten briefings, and I have requested that we get an all senators classified briefing. Okay?
For next week?
Do you think you'll be successful in getting that?
I hope so.
Have they been
I
receptive?
believe we will. I believe we will. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.